Welcome to week 4, everybody. Um, this is an important week. Number one, it's kind of our midterm. So, in most classes, you would have a midterm exam of some sort. Uh, we don't do an actual exam. The point value for this week's assignment has doubled, as well as the point value for your essay at the end of this week also has increased. I'm looking for professionalism, I guess, is the main focus. So keep that in mind as I go through this week's process and what we'll be doing for during this lecture. Just remember, we're looking for professionalism. That is the key word. So this week is Picture Lock. Picture Lock is the filmmaking milestone where all visual editing decisions, scene order, timing, and cuts are finalized. That's written right here. And put yellow, that is absolutely important. The key to this is I am looking for the absolute very best this footage can be edited into. We'll go through a little bit more of that when we get to the assignment, but keep that in mind. Okay. This last week, you had your first cut, and I gave, so you had, well, week 1, you had your assemble. Okay, you assembled it. Week 2, you had a rough cut, which let you have kind of a rough play of what you have edited. Everything is in order. You're starting to play with how you're putting the footage together. Um, then we had week 3, which is last week. You had your first cut. Your first cut is go through it and clean it up and get it to a point that you feel it potentially could be done. It never is after your first cut, but it feels that way to you. And then I came in on week 2 and on week 3 and gave suggestions on what I think you should do to improve. These suggestions, I know the footage well. These suggestions are, in my opinion, good, solid suggestions for storytelling, and at the same time, helped to kind of direct you in massaging the footage in a way that would make it look even better. I realize this is probably the potentially the most difficult and different type of edit than you've ever done. But I want you to learn to push yourself in that professional direction and not just be the beginner editor. So most editors, and you guys have, all of you, almost every single person has mentioned how, oh, I don't do this, I don't do that. This is different about the process. Most editors in the first several years of editing, they go and they look through all the footage and they pick out what they think is the best and they put it in the timeline and they work and work and work and they kind of edit it all together in one pass. They may go back and make some adjustments if they happen to have somebody that's supervising them, but it's kind of more haphazard and just put together to the best of their ability. I used to do the same thing. It probably took me a good 5 to 7 years to really like get out of that habit. And where I got out of that habit is actually having mentors of higher level editors that showed me how to truly put together footage and put it together in the most professional manner. So that's what we're working on. I've already explained that many times, but your first cut, you're going to turn it in. Hopefully, you have already turned it in if you're watching this video. And what you're going to really have focused on is you're going to have focused on the pacing, all the way down to the frame. You're going to focus on the timing of reaction shots, all the way down to the frame. 1 or 2 frames can change the whole feel. You're going to figure out the rhythm of your cuts. Okay, that's, the rhythm and pacing are similar. Let's call them like a fraternal twins, not identical twins. They're fraternal twins. There's a lot of similarities, but there are differences. Your rhythm is how you want the audience to feel. Your pacing, though it has to do with feeling, has to do with the speed. Your rhythm is the editing technique. There is a rhythm to your edit. Pacing, there is a speed to your edit. Okay. Your rhythm generally hits your emotional beats. Your pacing, it emphasizes those emotional beats to make the emotion even more powerful. I know that sounds real crazy, and it's like, oh, that's almost saying the same thing. As I said, it's like fraternal twins. A lot of similarities, but not identical. Okay? And when you were coming out of this, you should be coming out feeling that there are no errors. Okay, errors did bring down people that have turned it in so far. Errors brought down grades. And for those of you that hopefully have turned this in, I'm recording this before everybody's turned it in. Hopefully you have went through and you have found as many errors as possible. Funny thing, pretty standardly, you'll think you get all the errors, and then you'll get a grade and you're like, oh man, I missed some points. And then you go back and look at it and you're like, oh, I missed that. Oh, I missed that. Oh, I missed that. It's pretty standard. It's okay. All right, prior to class, turn in all of last week's assignments and make sure that you have completed the essay, just like the week before, the week before that, and the week before that. Okay, so for this week, just like last week, you're gonna basically none of this has changed, but let me emphasize what the issue is. So, review all study materials, the video lecture, and notes. Okay, all the study materials, just like every week, have changed. There is another chunk of information for you to go through and look at. Okay, complete week four's assignment, or excuse me, this is you're going to complete week four's assignment. Before you complete week four's assignment, go and check out all of the feedback that I have given you. I gave you feedback after week 2, and I have now given you more feedback after week 3. I'm trying to direct you and push you into the right general vicinity of how to make this edit look the best. Okay. It is absolutely imperative that you look at the feedback. And in my opinion, you should try every single piece of feedback. Try it, see if it works. It may not work. It's very possible in the direction you're editing, a piece of feedback might not work, but you don't know if it works until you've tried it. You can think it doesn't work, just like you can think something does work, but until you try it and watch it with the footage, you don't know if it works. Okay? So my opinion would be you take each piece of feedback, you create a new sequence, you paste the old sequence in there, and then you go through and you tweak the pieces of feedback that have been mentioned, and you see which ones work. It's kind of like that saying, throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Same kind of idea here. Okay. The feedback that I've given you isn't just willy-nilly. I'm not just throwing it out there. It is feedback that I can see that there's something that can be adjusted. And again, I'm trying to help direct you in the right direction for adjustment. All right. You will complete your essay this week. Okay. Your essay is bigger. We'll get to that as we go through this, but it is a much bigger essay than it normally is. And there's more writing on it. Again, this week's assignment and this week's essay are your midterm. So consider them almost like a midterm exam. Okay. All right. Your study materials. The fine cut to final cut. So what we are working on here is we're working on getting our picture lock. Our picture lock, as we said earlier, is basically all of your visual edits are done. You don't want to be adjusting any of the video or any of the cuts of the audio, not the levels and none of the audio manipulation. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the actual audio we hear. It's going to be cut to the appropriate length, so it's not too long or not too short. It's under the right things. It's not messing around. Okay, we're looking that you won't be moving anything in your timeline. The only thing that you will be doing from here on out after this week, piece by piece, we'll go through the audio, we'll go through the color, we'll go through the visual effects. And you're going to go through all of those in order to make your final that should be, in my opinion, should be like college film festival worthy. Now, unfortunately, you didn't shoot this footage, so you can't enter it. But if you had shot this footage, that's what the edit would look like. So watch this. I find this to be a really great video discussing what it is that we are looking at doing this weekend into the future. Okay. And then these two right here, you will find these two videos will be highly helpful in the study material section as well as your edit. It gives you a little bit more depth, but it also gives you a lot more information about the essay. So absolutely watch this part one and part two, watch it thoroughly. Might I suggest take notes? Maybe go read the essay assignment first before watching this and take the notes. Okay. Also, anything previously that we have went through within our modules, you can absolutely go through. Any of the study materials will be of assistance right here. All of this information will be of assistance for your essay. Okay. So we'll come back down here to 4. We were on study materials. We'll go to our assignment this week. Alrighty, so here is our assignment. Okay, picture lock is the stage at which you no longer make changes to the cut. Okay, again, the cut. So you're not cutting any of the audio or video or moving the audio and video around to make your cuts different. This is the end. Once you're done with all of the cutting and all of the placement of the audio and video, and it's exactly where you want it, that is when you achieve picture lock. At this point, all audio, color grading, and visual effects work can begin without the need to redo any of it. Okay, here's the problem. If you start working on any of your audio sweetening and sound effects and music and all those different things, where you go in and do visual effects, or you're going in and doing color correction or color grading, if you're going and doing any of that stuff, and if you've done it and then you go back and you change your edit, you have to go back and fix any of the audio, any of the visual effects, any of the color grading, any of the color correction. You have to go back and fix all of that. If you insert a new shot, if you cut something down, if you make something bigger, if you move things around, it will affect that. And what does that do? That ends up adding more time to your edit that you were expecting. Okay. Um, let's see here. Where was I at? If you make the edit, so if you make edits after your process has started, you will generally need to revisit and revise these elements. So if you've done something in the audio, visual effects, or the color, if you have made any changes, you'd have to go back and do those again. All right. Your goal is to complete the edit and know that you have truly tightened and adjusted it to the very best of your ability. No issues, or excuse me, the issues I commonly see is the students sometimes become bored with their edit and just kind of slap stuff together. So rather than reading this to you, you can read it. I'll talk a little bit here. When we get to about this point, students are like, I've watched this footage so many times. It's good. Why do I have to do any more? Okay. This is when you take a quick break, you take a day off or 2 days off. Don't look at the footage. Go back in and rewatch it and take notes on everything. Take notes about your emotions. Take notes about, is there anything that remotely feels like it's off or doesn't quite work? Do you see if there's like in shot 1 somebody's hand is moving, and in shot 2 their hand is in a completely different location or in a different place on the frame and it doesn't fit together? This is the time you fix all those things. You want everything to match so it feels seamless. All right. Expectations. There are no edit errors. Okay. I will be looking at this. I don't want any black flash frames. I don't want mismatched shots. Each shot must flow seamlessly into the next. Okay. And all audio must match properly. So if you have any audio that doesn't match somebody's mouth movement, so it's off by a few frames, or it's the wrong audio for the clip and it just doesn't work and you haven't addressed that issue, it all has to be fixed this time. For every single error I find, unfortunately, points will be docked. So make sure that there are no errors. Okay. You have found the very best way to edit this footage and the very best shots that align with it. Please remember that I know this footage extremely well. Okay. I have edited this footage multiple times, both videos. I have had students edit this, both college and high school. I also was part of those crews that shot this and edited it, and entered it into film festivals and won. Okay. So I know this footage really well. I know how good it can be. I also know the mistakes that people tend to make. So none of this is new. I think I believe this was shot in 2022. I think it was 2022. It wasn't 2022. It might have been 2020, early 2023. Um, so this footage has been through about three sets of classes. So I've seen probably 35 to 40 different people's edits. I'm very familiar with this footage. I'm very familiar with how good it can be, how professional it can be, and also how it can be edited together in a not so professional manner. So please really work hard on how professional this looks and also go back and spend the time. All right. So make sure all proper audio is being used with each character. If the audio sounds far away, so this is a typical problem. Somebody will have one character's audio and they're using that particular shot and it has both characters speaking. Okay, make sure that you change the track to the other audio so you can hear the other person when it's time for them to speak, so they don't sound like they're far off the microphone, or you're cutting to another person, or you're cutting to a closer shot and maybe they have said the same thing and it's just a different angle. Make sure that you're utilizing the audio that fits them, that makes it sound like they're right there. If you go, well, it's not here, it is there. I've already had a couple students say, I've mentioned this to them, they're like, Mr. Sheets, the audio's not there. What do I do? It sounds like they're far away. It's like the audio is there. You have to go in and research the footage. If you didn't initially line up all of the footage in a timeline like we were supposed to and sync all of the footage like we were supposed to, and then put it all into a rough layout and make sure that all the pieces are there. If you didn't do all of that properly, you missed something. That means the footage and the audio is still sitting in your folders and you haven't touched the right one. So you have to go find it. And I've walked you through each one of these steps in the hopes that you would follow the directions specifically so you don't come down to the point of, oh my goodness, I can't find the right audio. Okay. This is one of those times where I said in the beginning of the semester, hey, make sure you follow and don't try and skip ahead, because if you try and skip ahead, you're going to be missing pieces and it will come to bite you at the bottom later on. Here we are. So my hope is everybody has followed the directions, because if you followed the directions, the audio you need, it should be connected to your clip. You just have to go and switch your audio track. That's the hope. Okay? Right here. Take the time to make the edit perfect. Make it perfect. I will be very critical of this edit. We have had 4 weeks working on this footage. I have provided feedback on week 2 and on week 3, and some people have chosen to not follow feedback, and some people have chosen to follow feedback, and some people have chosen to follow a little bit of feedback. That's all on you, but I highly suggest you at least try the feedback. Okay. If you do not like the piece of feedback, try it anyway and see if you like the result more than you initially thought. That tends to happen. People go, I don't agree with that feedback, but they never try it. As I said a few minutes ago, throw things against the wall, see what sticks. Okay. So try and look at all the feedback. I might possibly know what I'm talking about. Maybe. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm a hack. It's possible, right? All right. Spend the necessary time on the edit. I can tell when somebody just slaps something together and calls it good. Okay. My suggestion this week, when fine tuning and making this perfect and prepared and picture locking it, because we won't be doing any more edits, my suggestion, 5 to 8 hours this week. Okay. As I said last week and the week before, you should be spending approximately 10 hours a week going through all of this, reading, watching, writing, and editing. For a 3 credit course, you're kind of expected, and I'm expected to give approximately 10 hours of time of work for you to do, and you're expected to use that 10 hours to complete what is done. and I try and go under a little bit. I try and go like at 8.5 or 9 hours. So you have a little bit of leeway just in case you're a little slower at editing or a little slower at something, you run into a hiccup. So you should be somewhere between 5 and 8 hours of edit time on this week. And I know some of you will be looking at this going, there's no way that it's going to take me 8 hours or 10 hours or 5 hours to do this. I'm maybe an hour and I'm done. I highly recommend spend the time, go through it slowly, go through it frame by frame. Try and make every edit perfect. All right. Do not forget to review the second round of feedback that I have given. So basically, your edit you turned in this last week, you might have turned it in today, you might have turned it in yesterday or the day before, whatever it might be. Go look at the feedback before you start this edit. All right? Good luck and wow me. All right? If you can wow me, you may just earn an A on this. I am going to be, as I said, very hypercritical of this edit because we have had 4 weeks to do so. Okay? 4 weeks of going through the process and making sure that we have done this properly. Okay? Let's move on to the next. That's enough of that assignment. It's worth 50 points. Normally, it's worth 25, so it's double the points. It's worth 2 assignments. So again, wow me. All right, your midterm essay. This is your midterm essay. Here's your essay prompt, and it needs to be 1,000 words or longer. Okay, explain several key steps. Explain the several key steps in the professional film editing process. For each major step, discuss why it is important and what sets it apart from the editing approaches you have used in previous student projects or just editing. Okay, and what specific practices you are likely to continue or stop doing to improve your ability as a professional editor. Explain clearly. What I'm asking here is, what have we learned thus far this semester? What is it that has amplified and benefited you? Explain each one of the steps, explain them all correctly, explain why they're important. And then I want you to talk about, and this is where you get to freestyle a little bit, explain and talk about what you like, what you don't like, why you like it, why you don't like it. And then what are you apt to add to your editing process or or not add to your editing process? And then tell me why. You may go, I think it's worthless to have 4 different cuts. I'm not ever going to do that. I find that I do a better job at doing one pass through the whole thing and making sure it's perfect by the time I finish. Tell me why. If that's what you're choosing, though I disagree and I feel that it is wrong, you can have a difference of opinion and you can tell me why. Hey, maybe you can sway me. Okay. I'm going through this class and I'm trying to teach you what they do in the professional field. So I'm hoping, of course, that you're going to say, hey, all these things are tedious, but man, they really work, and this is why. But I also encourage you to tell me what you don't like. And I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm not going to mark you down if you say, I don't like this particular step, and I'm not ever going to use it because I think it's worthless, so on and so forth. I'm not going to mark you down for that. But what I do expect is I expect that you tell me why you think it's worthless, or why it's a waste of time, or why you're never going to use it, and how it does not benefit and it harms your edit process, Okay, so your essay should include a clear introduction, well-organized body and paragraph, and a strong conclusion. Support your analysis with examples from your own editing experience in this course and other courses, honestly, where relevant, and draw an industry standard post-production practice. Okay, so you are expected to conduct an independent research and cite creditable sources. So if you're going to take a piece out of somebody else's information, cite them on it. Please cite them. I know the videos that you are watching, and I've watched them all from start to finish. So if you utilize something out of those videos that we have during this whole course, I expect it to be cited. So make sure you cite it and cite it professionally. This assignment encourages you to reflect deeply on the differences between typical student editing habits and professional workflow, using the current short form projects and feedback process as a foundation for your thinking. So I want to hear what you used to do, what we have done this semester so far. That's 8 weeks. It's a half semester, but what we have done, what we have learned so far, what you will implement, what you might not implement, and I want to know why. All right. This is worth 40 points, so not quite double, um, but actually, no, it's actually more than double, sorry. So it's worth 40 points. So this is also part of your midterm. So this is worth a bit more. Make sure you spend the time on this. I will be checking to make sure that you do 1,000 words. Make sure that you're right in here. It says proper spelling, punctuation, grammar, sentence structure, and overall professionalism will be a factor in your grade. Don't just sit down, type something out, and turn it in. Make sure that you think it through, you research it, you write it properly, you go back and review it, you fix any sort of editing errors, and then you turn it in. This is a professional paper, 1,000 words. Okay, I'm not telling you whether you need a double space, single space, anything. I'm not saying 1 or 2 or 3 pages. I'm just telling you I want 1,000 words. I will be checking this, and I will be putting this through multiple AI detection systems. Um, it seems to be on papers of 500, more than 500 words. Students tend to start leaning on AI. If that particular thing happens, if somebody decides to use AI, if it comes back and it says it's 30% AI, well, we're going to start at 30% off the paper. So the best they can get is 70%. So if they got 100% on the paper, 30% of it's AI, the best they're getting is 70%. So that'd be like a low C. So please, I encourage you, don't use AI. AI is a tool for appropriate things, but not when it comes to writing a research paper. This is supposed to come out of your brain. So please do so. Please follow those directions properly. That is about it. I know this is a lot of work this week, but this is a professional editing course, and I am really working hard to help you guys come out of this course and be immensely better editors. Okay. So if you need to contact me, jump on over here to the Canvas inbox, send me a message. I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. There've been a few people that have gotten to me and said, "Hey, Mr. Sheets, I messaged you like, 2 days ago, and I had missed something." And then there's other people like, wow, I just finished writing that and you wrote me back within 10 seconds. I do my best to try and get back to you within 24 hours or less. If it goes over 24 hours, send me a second message and say, hey, Mr. Sheets, did you miss my message? It does happen. I am teaching 3 classes just at Yavapai, and I'm teaching 4 more at another location. So if I happen to miss a message, I apologize, but remind me, reach out to me again, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. I hope this has been a great learning experience, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what your picture lock is going to look like. And then we're going to move on next week, and we're going to start really fine tuning all those effects and color and audio and all those pieces. Okay. Well, you guys have a great week. And again, if you need me, reach out via the Canvas inbox, and I will talk to you soon.